Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me well. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to talk about color, values, and temperatures, hopefully to make you understand better what these terms mean. And hopefully this will help you increase your painting and give more consistency, volume, weight, and overall impact on your image. So let's jump on Photoshop. Well, actually clip paint, not Photoshop. I started the sketch so we don't lose time, and I am painting here a Moroccan rider from the Royal Guard in Rabat, the city in Morocco. I really like this kind of subjects because they have they're first lit by a strong North African light. So in terms of contrast, color, the density of light there is really impressive. And they also have nice colors, you know, these bright red, bright greens, these earth tones on the buildings and everything. So today it's gonna be a course. It's actually somehow a free class. So we're gonna cover all the points that you should go through when you're starting a painting. So first you do the drawing, a line drawing, of course, as you can see. So if I would be to start from scratch, you're basically building the contour of what you're doing. And you don't really need, when you're painting, especially with oil painting, to be super sharp, super precise in the curves and everything. Of course, your final drawing will contain curves, but when you start, you basically only want to get the directions of what you're doing. Meaning that here the forehead won't be that straight, but I'm doing it straight, so I get the direction of the plane, not the plane. And that's basically how you want to construct your image first, only with a structural contour. And then once you have this contour, you're gonna put the shadow, so you're gonna block in the shadow shapes. Imagine this is in the dark, then you want to apply here a contour delimitation, which is gonna allow you to know where the light part is and where the shadow part is. So from here, all we have to do is lay down an imprimatura, meaning this colored background. Why is that? Because if you have raw white like this, see how harsh it is for the eyes? You feel like it's too much. It's like a photo flash, and you will not be able to judge well the values and the relationship between these values and colors if you have this really bright white on it. So we usually tint the canvas, and it can be any color you want, but traditionally we tint it with a warm color because this is also gonna harmonize the scene. This painting is depicting a guy in middle of the heat, so it's a warm light, it's the sun, and this way to have a warm background is gonna unify the colors into a warm scene. After you delimitate the shadow shapes, you want to fill them in. We call this blocking in the shadows. So you see I blocked the darks basically. Here also you don't need to be super precise, you just block the shapes, and this allows you to see more or less where are your big masses, and then you're going to be able to work in the half tones. All right, so this little explanation introduction is done, and now we're going to be able to start painting. So you want to start to build the part which is in between the darks and the light. So the half tone, which is the part here you see that is close to the darks and also close to the light. And this part will usually be progressive and not like super sharp, because that's the part where the form turns out from the shadow and comes to the light. So there's gonna be a gradient, a smooth transition. And here, don't worry if you're a little messy in your application, it's still not a problem. We will refine all the forms and contours at the end. Right now, we're just establishing our roadmap. So the red is in the light. I'd like the red to be a little warmer. As you see on the color wheel, I'm trying to go towards the yellow rather than towards the purple. You see, temperature is about this. If I want my red to be warmer, I'm gonna make it go towards the yellow, and if I want it colder, I'm gonna make it go towards the blue. So this is really important if you are doing a scene which takes place under a warm light, then the lit part won't be able to be cold. Look, if I do the red like this, it's gonna look weird. Like it's not gonna look like it's lit by a warm sun. So let's get a red which is quite warm. And temperatures, they are really important. When I was a student, sometimes I couldn't figure out what was wrong on my painting. I was like, something that's definitely not okay, but what is it? Now I understand that it was the temperatures. If temperatures are off, your image, no matter how many details you put or whatever, the image is not gonna work. So really pay close attention to temps. I repeat it, don't worry about precision and everything. So many students that I have, they start and they're like, or they already have the hand like this on the brush, like super stiff, and the canvas is there. And they're like, if you start like this, you're not gonna be able to see the whole picture first. And the relationships between the things you paint and the relationships between color, value, temperatures, and so on, it's gonna be off because you don't see the whole thing. And at this stage, you don't want to be precise in terms of detail, but you want to be precise in terms of relationships. This is very important. And you will find out that the more precise you are about the relationships, the better your image looks. Sometimes you'll just stop after half an hour sketching, but because you were so busy on trying to get the right relationships, then your image already looks good. And sometimes it looks so good that some painters will choose to leave it like this because it looks nice when it's neat in terms of understanding of what you're doing, yet loosey because it's the sketch. This last sentence wasn't so clear, but hopefully you got what I mean. So if you watch out the color wheel, I'm really focused on temps now, trying to find the right temperatures, for instance, for this white, because it's alternating between smooth shadows, very soft ones, and then really big bright areas of sun. And white parts are actually a little tricky when you use oil paint, because if you use regular titanium white, you have to know that white is making the color colder. I learned this with Richard Schmidt. He said that as soon as you mix white into a color, the tone of the color becomes cooler. And this really changed my life. I was like, whoa, okay, it makes so much sense and it explains a lot. And a friend of mine, Onaline, great painter, she recommended me to use warm white from Michael Harding, which is basically a reproduction of the lead white but non-toxic. And I ordered it and I should receive it in the upcoming days, and I can't wait to try, because to have a white which would keep your mixes warm would really be a game changer for me, because I'm painting lots of scenes in the sun and it's a pain in the ass to keep your light warm. Anyway, I'll keep you posted with only color notes now. You know, when you're drawing and you try to find the shape, so you're like this, trying to understand how it goes. Now I'm doing exactly the same with color. I'm searching for color dots, color notes, and I'm trying to find how they transit, how they match, how they switch from one to another, how their temperature changes. And you should always keep this in mind. Painting is not about drawing and then just filling the drawing with color. Otherwise, you're going to end up with what we call a colored drawing. You use color, but it's just dark colors and light colors. But if we're talking really about painting, you want to express the form with color changes, color shifts, not only a dark brown, a middle brown, and a light brown. Here you see I have dark, middle, and light, but it's still all in the same, it's like the same color that to which you add white or black. What we want is having temperature shift. Maybe this one is cooler, you see? Maybe this one is warmer and a little redder, like this. Maybe in the middle, you have another cool. And that's what we want. We want to find all these shifts that are going to build the form. Here you see it's quite cool, it's great, but then I'm going to put a shift of temperature in the end to make it a little warmer. And look at the navigator here. You see the painting in small, right? And you see, by having the right contrast from first, with blocking, having a strong blocking in terms of dark, and starting to put some halftones here and there, look how from far it already looks quite convincing. Like you can definitely see it's a rider in the sun on his horse. So that's what I was saying at the beginning. Always try to work looking at the big picture, and your painting might end up looking quite good from a really early stage. Keep an eye on the miniature here, on the navigator. It's gonna help you understand what I mean with looking the thing from far. It's a style that really resonates in me. And when I left to Morocco, because I lived in Morocco for a year, it came to me that, it was so clear in my mind that this is the kind of light, this is the kind of subject, this is the kind of elements, aesthetics that I want to put in my work. So after living in Morocco, my work became even more orientalistic. Okay, something important that I didn't tell you. It's important to lay down your background when you paint so that you can once again understand better the relationship between the main character and what's around. So let's put the background here around the guy. Again, focusing on temperature. In Toulouse, you have an amazing painter originally from there, Benjamin Constant. This guy, it's I don't even know how to describe it. He's an amazing master between the masters. He's crazy, literally insane. So Benjamin Constant, that's his name. Check him on Google. You're gonna die. So here I'm still loosey, but just filling the gaps. See from far how everything starts to take shape, and from close, it's a fucking mess. So don't worry about detail. Have faith, work on your relationships, and your painting will look good really fast. I was discussing about this with Nomad the Halt. It's a guy on Instagram from Russian Academy of Art in St. Petersburg, and also with Onalin, Thai painter. And we were saying that Orientalism, basically, it's the peak, it's the summit of technique. Like 19th century is already the peak of painting. After that, technically and traditionally speaking, it's going down. And this peak at the end of the 19th century, it's really Orientalism. Like, you technically speaking, I'm not talking about concept, about emotion, about visual impact, but in terms of raw technique, you can't beat Orientalism. It's crazy. It's crazy. Look at that, so beautiful. It's so simple, yet so beautiful. And that's the thing with classicism. Sometimes I'm at the museum and I have this big work in front of me. I feel very calm and in the same time lifted. It's a style who's very, it's like about rules, about equilibrium, nothing too much, nothing too less. So it's a very wise and calm style. But in the same time, they put so much refinement, so much thinness and delicacy in what they do that it lifts you. It seems to be done from, I don't know, from the angels or something. Okay, let's see. Traveling book. Dude, I didn't know this guy. Thanks so much for sharing. Perfect example of compression and exposing for the shadow, to the lights, sorry. Honestly, thank you so much for the ref. Very good. Dominique Papetti. Actually, let's talk about something. Let's go back to Papetti's work and I'm going to explain you something really simple, yet very complex to get. But once you have it, life is way easier. Let's take this image. Let's have it on Photoshop. Okay. So people, open your eyes, open your ears, because this is going to be helping you a lot. If you choose to expose for the lights, what does this mean? It means that you're saying that you will work in different values in the light. So you see here, I'm having a lighter tone than here and then here. So let's say that in this arm, you will have, let's say, 3 values. Values, once again, are the brightness, the different brightness of what you're painting. See, here I'm having a dark value if you're thinking only in black and white. Here I'm having a middle value and here I'm having a light value, okay? So you choose to have few values in the light and you choose to have no values in the dark, one value in the dark, meaning you compress the values of the shadows into one. You see, you're compressing into one and then you are having value shifts in the light. And this allows to give a very 3-dimensional effect. For instance, if you squint, basically all the darks are more or less the same value, okay? But then in the light areas, you see that you have 1 value, 2 values, 3 values, and this means that you're gonna flatten all your shadows and you're gonna use value shifts in the light. This is called exposing for the lights, and this is what classicism uses. on the way around, if you choose to expose for the shadow, then your lights are going to be burnt into one values and your shadows are going to contain more values. Let me show you this. Let's go here and type some Russian. The Russians, they use this a lot. Right, look at here. Here they chose to burn the lights into one value, meaning that if you squint, again, all these lights here, they seem to be one value. We could compress it, like, let's go a little further, like this, and compress it. You see, basically, you're here. You bake the light values, and on the way around, you're going to use value shift, transitions and all these kind of things in the shadows. You see all these colors here, it's shadow. So here you can have different values, different colors, etc., etc. And this is called exposing for the shadows. This approach gives a strong effect of light, but you have less volume. The other one gives you a less strong effect of light, but you have more of a three-dimensional aspect. So this is totally up to you, whether you want to play with color in the shadow or play building the form in the lights. So each time you're starting a painting, you need to think about this. Am I going to expose for the light? Am I going to expose for the shadow? Here you see there is such little shadow in terms of volume, like you have shadow here, here, but all these big shapes are in light, so it makes more sense to expose full lights. But if I was against the light and I would have light only hitting, for instance, the edge of my silhouette, then it would make more sense to expose for the shadows and have just a burnt light here. Okay? Is this clear enough? Yes, no, because it's a very advanced concept and not really advanced, but I mean, you know, it's more complex than just building cubes in 3D. So let me know if you have any question regarding this. So here I exposed for the lights, and you can see my darks are one value, they're flattened up, and I'm gonna build the volumes with value shifts in the lights. My English. Okay, there is a little bit of green because on the ref you have a little bit of grass, and I'm gonna put this because the green is gonna make echo with the red because they are complementaries, and I think this is gonna be quite cool. But here the green is too cold, you see. I'm warming up, you see? Green here doesn't really match, and you have a warmer green, meaning the right temperature, and the green now is part of the scene. You can see it's lit by the same sun. So the Royal Guard from Rabat, that's the place where the king lives, and that's the guards. So you see, if you squint with your eyes, once again, it's exposed for the lights, meaning that it would be easier here to flatten the darks and build volume on the lights rather than the way around. Now I'm gonna add the little blue on the horse because the horse is white and you're gonna have the reflection of the sky. It's subtle, you see I'm not going totally blue. And see how much I stay here on the gray part of the wheel. That's something I learned with Russians. They said in Russian school, they say that most of the things we see are way grayer than what we think. See, if I put blue like this, look how it looks. Insanely off. This color I have here, look how gray I am, and it's already way too blue. So because we're near a very warm color, things are gonna look cold even though they're grayish. That's relationships. Here basically I'm too blue while I'm already really in the grays. So look where I am here. And this is looking colder, yet if I show you only this, you go like, that's not really cold. But when you see it next to warm color, then it looks cold. So that's once again one of the keys. One color compared to another. It's not about putting warm or cold, it's about putting warmer or cooler. And this is super important. If you understand that it's all about warmer, cooler, then you're gonna progress really fast. Because when I was at school, you know, contemporary school, of course, teachers were telling me like, put more red or put more, blue. This doesn't mean anything. What you want to know is go warmer or go cooler or go like a little higher in value or lower, but put more red. It's not going to help at all because then you put a warm red and it doesn't work. then you put a red which is too dark or too light, it doesn't work. So put more red it's a very useless information. So always ask yourself what temperature it is, what value it is, what saturation it is. If you start to think like this, then your work is gonna progress really fast. Here I'm having reflected light from the ground, so it's gonna be warmer. Because the light goes like this, bounces on the warm ground, and so it's gonna project a warm color here down the horse, because the plane turns and there is one part of the plane, which is the belly of the horse, who faces directly the floor. I hope everything is clear so far. Do you want me to sing? No? Okay. Here you see I'm putting a warm edge around. I call this the saturation ring. I don't really know how you call this in an official term, but every time the form shifts after the terminator, which is the darkest part of the shadow, you will have a warm ring, a warm line. Let's put a green on the cap of this guy. Here I'm having a little hard time because the local color of the object, meaning its true color, is a cold green, but it's a cold green lit by a warm light. So you still need to feel that the green is cold, yet that it's hot because it's lit by the sun, and here I'm a little lost. So let's hope we succeed. Yeah, probably like this. Then here it's going to be even colder because it's influenced by the sky. Okay, I have my roadmap. My colors are more or less laid down, and from here I can now compose. This is in the back, so it's going to be blurry. The transition cannot be that harsh. Okay, actually there are other buildings here. So see, I'm making the background more abstract, less blocky. Now let's start to be more precise. I'm gonna zoom, because it's zoom, it doesn't look like nothing, but we don't care because what we want is little by little getting more and more in detail. Let's save this actually. Here the temperature is wrong. See, it was too cold, I made it warmer. And I'm really using here Photoshop like I would use a traditional canvas, meaning that I don't use layer, I don't use transparency, I just paint over and over and over like I would do with real oil paint. The ears are more reddish, they're always redder because there's a lot of blood. So remember this when you're painting ears, they're gonna look a little red. Here you're gonna have bounce light under the chin from the cloth, under the nose too. You're gonna have this saturation ring I was telling you about, which is the shift here that is gonna be more saturated. Okay, this will probably be enough just for the face for the moment. We gave it a little bit of detail, but just what is needed. These go darker. Here the same, a little darker. And it doesn't seem that precise, but we're gonna move back. You're gonna be surprised by the result. Okay, you ready? Soon we're gonna de-zoom. Tack. And you see, the head has volume with just working a little bit on it in some parts, and that's what we're gonna do with the rest. My hand. When I draw with this, I'm too crisp. With a normal pen, I'm very relaxed, but like this. But here, I'm like, like a claw. So now let's focus more on the form. So this is straight because it's a sleeve. Then we're gonna have the shadow of this thing. See, too blue, more gray. See again, how much gray I'm using. It's crazy, when you look at it this way with the color wheel. Even in my own old painting, I tend to be too saturated while things are way grayer than we think. Here the bounce light here is going to be a little warm because the red has some bounce light and therefore it creates a warm bounce light. Here let's work the transition. You see, just a soft transition and already it looks more three-dimensional. Let me adjust the ref. So you can do the grays yourself, of course, but it can go faster to do them, as you say, with a premix gray. I personally use a warm Portland gray from Gamblin and a cool Portland gray from Gamblin, and both will allow me to quickly gray down a painting staying warm or cold, which is the advantage of having a cool and warm gray. So you can change the saturation but also the temperature of what you're doing. The brand is named Gamblin. It's American and it's really good. This is too high in value. See, this is too blue, so I'm going darker and warmer. Still a little too blue, because we're next to this super warm thing. And look how crazy, here on the color wheel, we feel it's quite warm, but compared to this super warm brown, it looks blue. Well, here it doesn't look blue. Like, if I show you this color here that I'm picking, this doesn't look blue at all. But look, when you put it in a very orange thing, it looks colder. Look, here it looks warm, here it looks cold. Crazy, huh? That's the crazy thing about relationships. Here you see, adding light, we start to feel the effect of light. We start to feel that this guy's head is lit by the sunlight. Step by step, little by little. We'll also have next time to talk about the edges. It's really important. See, here I'm having a lost edge, for instance. Here too. Here I'm having a sharp edge. So this is something that is super important as well. Look at the miniature here. See from far how precise it looks. It's only with color nodes. Okay, let's make this horse a little less rectangular, because now he's like in a video game from the 90s. Half-Life horse. And hopefully the market is going this way like for today. So we'll meet again on Thursday, same time, and we'll continue this painting, talking about edges, for the second part, details, how to put details yet staying not too detailed, so you keep a freshness and all these kind of things. So thank you so much, guys, for being here. Thank you for all your questions. I hope I've been able to help you. We had a great time drawing and talking, which is really cool, as I said, as an artist when you're all the time alone in your studio. So let's do this again on Thursday. You can follow me on the following social medias, so Twitch, YouTube soon, because I'm gonna edit these videos and upload them on YouTube. Then, of course, Instagram and Facebook. So thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, Mishikishi too. And we'll be in touch very soon. Bye-bye.